What is up, everybody? A big welcome back to the channel. Today I'm stoked to be sharing with you this absolutely gorgeous guitar. Let me tell you more about it. Alright, what is up, everybody? A big old welcome back to the Chug YouTube channel. My name is DJ and I am very excited to present to you all this. This is the Jackson Pro Series Dinky DK Modern HT6 in Snow White. Now, before we go any further into this video and we start looking at specifications and all the different features of this very cool and very beautiful guitar, I want to share with you all a demo track that I wrote with this guitar exclusively. Now, this is a song that I wrote a little while ago and I've re-recorded it with this guitar. We're currently in drop G sharp tuning, so we've got some big old tugboat strings on this guitar. Let's see how it sounds in a full demo mix, and then we'll come back and we'll check out some specs. So this right here is the Jackson Pro Series Dinky DK Modern HT6 in Snow White. This particular guitar is made in Korea. We've got a basswood body with a bolt-on 3-piece maple wenge and maple neck with graphite reinforcement rods and a satin finish on the back of the neck. The fretboard has a 12 to 16 inch compound radius. We've got a bound ebony fingerboard with 24 jumbo and nickel silver frets and offset pearloid dot inlays with lumen lace side dots and truss rod adjustment at the nut end of the neck. This particular guitar is multi-scale, so on the high end we've got 25.5 inch scale length, and on the low end we've got a 26.5 inch scale length. On the headstock, we've got a 3 over and 3 under tuner configuration with Goto locking tuners. We've got a GravTech Tusk nut, and this particular headstock is reversed from the traditional Jackson orientation for a 3 over and 3 under. We've got a Fishman Active Fluence Moderns PRF MH7 humbucking bridge and neck pickups with a 3-way blade switch, a master volume and a master tone with a push-pull on the tone pot which switches between voices 1 and 2, which is an active sound on voice 1 and a passive sound on voice 2. On the hardware side of things, we've got a hip shot hardtail multi-scale bridge, and we originally had Dunlop locking strap buttons. At the time of filming, this guitar kind of varies depending on where you are in the world, but it's around about 1,500-ish pounds depending on which websites you look at, so take that with a grain of salt. It's kind of different everywhere you look. Okay, a couple of things I want to get out of the way. First of all, the main one being this is a very, very white guitar, and that causes all kinds of problems when it comes to getting my camera set up well enough to pick up both the guitar without it looking super washed out and pick up my face without it looking super dark. So if this doesn't look as good as some of my other videos, please accept my apologies. I've done my best to get it to look good, but we move. We have to just kind of deal with what we've got. The other thing I wanted to say is this video isn't sponsored in any which way. However, I do want to say a massive personal thank you to my buddy Aled. Aled is in an amazing band called DeLour. They are a hard rock metal kind of band, but they are drenched and dripping with melody. Honestly, the vocals in that band are amazing. Highly recommend that you go check them out. I'm going to play a little bit of a snippet of one of their new songs after this little talking segment so you can check out how they sound, and I'll leave links down below to all of their socials and all their music on Spotify and stuff. But go check them out. Aled, massive thank you for lending me this guitar for this review. And lastly, signal chain information down below in the description. So if you like any of the tones in this video, you can find all the information you need down below in the description. As with any of my YouTube videos that I do when we're checking out a guitar, we're going to be breaking things down into 4 categories. And you can find all 4 of these categories broken down below in the chapters section. So if you want to skip ahead or skip back at any point, you can do so to your heart's content. We're going to be looking at the looks of the guitar, how it presents itself. We're going to be looking at the sound, or how it sounds and all the different noises it can make. We're going to be checking out the fit and finish, the kind of quality control, the build of the guitar. And lastly, we're going to be checking out the playability of the guitar and how well it sits in the hands. Throughout the video, I'm going to sprinkle in some sound clips at various points. We're going to be looking at heavy metal rhythm tones. We're going to be looking at some clean ambient tones, some clean tones with a little tiny sprinkling of chorus reverb and delay, but it's basically a dry clean tone. And we're also going to, of course, look at lead tones as well. However, hold your expectations. I am a rhythm guitarist through and through, so lead is not my speciality. So first things first, the most important thing with any guitar, I jest, but it is quite important, is the looks of the guitar, because oftentimes as guitarists we buy, certainly from my own experience, we buy with our eyes. We're either into a guitar or we're not into a guitar based on how it looks, and I very much dig this guitar. I love white guitars anyway. I think there's a certain element of class that you get with a white guitar, especially with this super dark and rich kind of fretboard that we've got on this guitar. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks really cool. It's got that real classy, I suppose nowadays we'd say that Jim Root Squire, Jim Root Fender kind of vibe to it. I think all black and white guitars these days get compared to the Jim Root series of guitars because he kind of popularized that look. But black and white, or white and black, it just looks so good. This on stage is gonna pop like nothing else. I love a bright guitar on stage, and white guitars are no exception. So super classy. Another cool feature that I like about the aesthetics of this guitar are the headstock, that reversed headstock. I think it looks so super cool. If you're not sure, a regular Jackson 3 over and 3 under headstock looks a bit like this. This is from my Jackson JS Series King V, and this is from the DK model that we're looking at today. This one right here, the white one, of course. So yeah, you can see this is the traditional way around and this is reverse, and I just think it just looks really cool. I mean, it's not much of a difference. It's just that little flick at the top side of things, but it's just something cool, just something a little bit different for this particular series of guitars, and I think it looks pretty cool. I always say as well, guitars that look good from the back You know they're a good guitar when they look good from the back. And I love this 3-piece stripe that you've got on the back with that maple Wenge and maple 3-piece neck. It looks absolutely beautiful. Offset dots on the fretboard are another nice little feature to make this thing just a little bit different from a standard guitar. I think it's kind of boring these days when companies put just regular dot inlays into a guitar fretboard, because there's just so much you can do nowadays that, you know, just doing something a little different by putting things offset on the fretboard, it just looks that little bit cooler. I don't massively use the fretboard markers on the front. I only tend to use the ones on the top, so I usually prefer a clean fretboard without any markers on personally, but I think these look pretty cool on the offset where they hang around at the top of the fretboard. I think that looks pretty sick. This guitar, of course, is loaded with Fishman Fluence Moderns, so it sounds like any other guitar that has Fishman Fluence Modern pickups in it. I kind of give Fishmans a hard time on this channel, and I don't mean to. I love Fishmans. I've got Fishmans in a couple of guitars. I really, really like them. They sound so good, but just kind of like with like an EMG 81s or anything in that kind of realm, they all kind of have their particular sound, so I think any guitar with Fishman Fluences kind of has that similar kind of modern vibe to it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I love Fishmans. It's just a lot of guitarists, a lot of signature guitars, a lot of modern guitars, especially in the metal world, they come with Fishman Fluences, and that is fine. There's a reason for that. They're really, really, really good, but it just kind of makes it sound like a lot of other guitars. I've got no problem with that because they sound amazing. They're super crisp, they're super clear. Another one of my favorite words to use to describe Fishmans is articulate, and what I mean by that is you can just hear everything perfectly. All the notes jump out where they should jump out. All the muddiness hides away. It's just super crisp and super clear. They're pretty compressed, so you kind of get a nice even signal throughout, but you don't get a huge amount of dynamics. But for modern metal, they're just so superb. They're just so good. Nice feature with the Fishmans as well, of course, is that you can change the voices. So on the tone pot down here, we've got voice 1 and voice 2. So we've only got a 3-way blade switch on this guitar, which is a shame because we've only got humbucker and humbucker with modern and vintage or active and passive pickup options. There is a third voice you can unlock with these, but you'd have to get that done after the fact with this particular guitar because you can have a single coil tone. So you could replace this 3-way blade with a 5-way blade, and that way you could access those really, really nice chimey single coil tones, or they could have put a push port on the volume pot so that you could access all of those different tones. So I think it's a shame they didn't do that. It's kind of like you have it there to use. It wouldn't have really cost much extra at the factory to have made those like features available. So I think it's a shame you don't get that as stock, but nonetheless, if you took this to a luthier, asked them to put those changes into this guitar, you could quite easily access those tones. They're in there, you just need to unlock them. But both sets of pickups sound amazing, both the active high output modern voice as well as that vintage kind of PAF or passive humbucker sound. As a modern metal guitarist myself, of course, I live on the bridge pickup, and as I mentioned before, Fishmans just shine in that position when you're looking at like heavy rhythm tones, because they're so crisp, they're so particular, they're so precise. I guess that's the best way to put it. They're so exact in what they deliver. There's no muddiness. There's no smushy, horrible, fizzy sounds. There's just pure, crisp clarity. No matter how hard you push these and how much gain you throw at your amplifier, you're always going to find so much clarity, especially when you're tuned this low and you really need your pickups to respond in a really crisp and clear way. I think these do that perfectly. Mentioned before in many other videos when checking out guitars that aren't brand new, I think it's really cool when we can check out a guitar that's been used and loved and enjoyed over many years. So Aled is a very active guitarist. Aled is the person, of course, who I mentioned who owns this guitar from the band DeLour. Check him out. But Aled is a very active musician. He's just got back off of tour with his band, with DeLour, and they toured with an amazing band called Florence Black. You may have heard of them. They're quite a big band these days. They're quite a big deal in the rock and metal community. So they've just been on tour with Florence Black, and I believe Aled took this one and his Limalia Surfcaster, which I've already done a video on actually, and you should check that out after you check this one out. But he took this with him. He uses this in music videos, rehearsals, songwriting, studio time, and all the rest of it. And it's held up remarkably well. There's absolutely nothing, apart from one thing, that I think you could kind of hold against this from a fit and finish perspective. The only thing is there is a tiny... You're not going to be able to see this. I don't know why I'm showing you, because this is going to be super bright and washed out. But there is a tiny finish checking kind of crack here at the heel of where the neck joins the body on this bolt-on kind of bit here. That's the only thing that I could possibly hold against it, is that it's kind of cracked a little bit there, but it's not in the wood, it's just in the finish. And honestly, if this was my guitar, it wouldn't bother me at all, but I wanted to point it out. But other than that, absolutely perfect. The paint job is fantastic. It looks absolutely beautiful with all these beveled edges that you get around the guitar. Super comfortable with all these different cutaways. On the back, you've got lovely access through this bolt-on heel as well. Really nice guitar. Plays like a dream. But we'll come on to that in a minute. let's last of all have a look at the playability of this guitar. Now, I'm gonna say the actual playability is amazing. It's really, really good. And you should expect it to be really, really good when you're in this price point for an import guitar, whenever you're paying over £1,000 for anything that comes from your Koreas, your Chinas, your Indonesias, countries like that. Amazing guitars from amazing factories. But when you're playing for an import guitar that's coming in from not the USA or not Japan, and you're paying that much money, you should expect it to be pretty much flawless. There are two things I'm going to bring up that I think are a shame, but I wanted to get the good bits out of the way first of all. Frets finished to absolute perfection. Very, very nice. The body is nice and light. It's very, very cool. It's a bit neck heavy because of those lock-in tuners. It's a bit neck heavy down this end, so you do get a little bit of neck dive, but other than that, it kind of sits nicely and it's nicely balanced in your lap, as you'd expect from like a Strat style guitar. So yeah, playability, generally very good. The only two things I think are a shame, especially at this price point. Number one is I think it's a shame it doesn't come with stainless steel frets. I think at this price point, you really should be getting stainless steel frets. I know a lot of YouTube guitarists harp on about stainless steel frets, but they do make a big difference. They are much nicer to play on, and I'm especially talking about from a metal perspective here. I know they're not for every genre. Some people find them a bit thin sounding because they're quite hard, but I think at this price point for a guitar that's aimed at modern metal musicians, that's something that we really should be having at this price point. The other thing is in relation to the multi-scale, and multi-scale is very cool, don't get me wrong. I've got a bunch of multi-scale guitars, or I've had a bunch of multi-scale guitars, and they make sense. I generally prefer them on a 7-string than I do on a 6-string, so I don't know if you could have just got away with having this at 26.5-inch scale length top and bottom, but that's kind of a preference thing. Anyway, my main gripe is the nut. Nut is great, it's cut really well, it's lovely. But as I've said with a couple of other guitars that I've had that are multi-scale, whatever the number of strings, the corner of this nut is so sharp that when you slide down to the first or second frets, especially when you're playing hard and you don't want any obstructions, when you slide into the bottom corner of that, that's so sharp and so hard, it just physically hurts. And it might sound like a silly thing, but when you sat with this playing for an hour, 2 hours, or you're on stage or in the studio, the last thing you want is a physical barrier between you and your instrument while you're playing. It's an easy fix. Take some sandpaper, some wet and dry paper, something like that. Be careful, tape off the bits you don't want to damage, and just sand away this corner in here. That's all you got to do, and it'll be fixed. But I just don't understand why guitar companies, especially big guitar companies like Jackson's and like your Schecters and all the rest of it, why they send out guitars that have got this obvious issue with them. It winds me up. It grinds my gears. It shouldn't do that. They should fix that before it gets to you. There should be a nut available, or they should just take 30 seconds in their quality control just to shave off that little bit here, just so it doesn't hurt you while you're playing. And like I said, it might sound like a silly little thing, it might sound a little bit nitpicky, but it's the first thing I notice when I pick up a multi-scale guitar, 6, 7, 8 strings, whatever. When you slide down here, you physically feel it, and it physically hurts. Not much. I know I'm not being a big baby, but you over and over and over again while you're trying to enjoy your instrument, it's just a bit of a shame. So easy fix, but I just don't think it should be there. So what do we think overall? Yes, it is an absolutely superb guitar. It's got amazing appointments. It's built very, very well. It looks really, really cool. It's got brilliant features, the Fishman's, the hip shot bridge, the locking tuners. Everything about it is what you would expect it to be in this price point. Is it a guitar I would pick up? Probably not. Like I said, I don't massively see the value in a fan fret on a 6 string. 7 and 8 strings, to me that makes sense, but on a 6 string it doesn't massively make sense to me personally. Might be completely different for you, and if you've got a different opinion, share it down in the comments section. I'd love to catch up with you down there and have a chat about it. But yeah, very cool guitar, very well made, definitely built for a busy modern musician who's playing live or is in the studio, or if you just enjoy playing guitar in your bedroom at home and writing music, whatever. It's a great guitar, really, really cool guitar, but it's definitely a guitar aimed at a modern metal guitarist. I reckon that's going to just about do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. I've really enjoyed checking this one out. I don't tend to check out guitars this expensive that often, so it's been a real nice change of pace for me today to check out a more expensive Jackson and see what this can do. I'm so used to playing the JS series guitars, but it's so nice to see what they're making at the top end of the spectrum, and this is cool. Excellent guitar. If you've got one of these or you're thinking about checking one of these out, then let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of it. Is this your kind of thing? Is it something you'd look at picking up, or is it not really your thing at all? Let me know in the comments down below. It'd be cool to have a chat with you down there. Thank you so much again for joining me for today's video, everybody. I massively appreciate you being here. If you've enjoyed it, found it useful, helpful, educational, entertaining in any which way, it would be absolutely awesome if you would consider hitting that subscribe button and joining me and all of us on this YouTube journey to see where this little channel can go in the future. We've just hit 2,000 subscribers. I'm beyond grateful for that. I'm so stoked to have you all here with me. So if you're already subscribed, then just know I appreciate you tremendously. And if you consider subscribing or you hit that subscribe button, then welcome and thank you for being here. Really appreciate you all, everybody, and hopefully I'll catch up with you again in another video very, very soon. Take really good care until then. In a bit.